I'm starting. Hey, wow, this is the most people that have actually waited in quite a while. Just like say that one of them drops. That's hilarious. Hello, everybody. It's nice to see that folks are here and, you know, waiting to find out what's happening. Hey, Richard, how you doing? And who else? So that's funny. We had 10 in, and then the moment I started, 3 dropped. No, now they're coming back. Either that or this counter is weird. I don't know. Now it's up to 12. That's weird. You start off at 10, then the minute it went live, it went down to 9, then it went down to 8, then it went down to 6, then it went up again to 9, then it went to 10, then it went to 11, now it's at 13. Hi. How's everybody doing? Now it's at 14. How you doing? Since someone says, yeah, I got the Raiders colors on. Can you hear me, by the way? Can anybody hear me? Because someone said they could not hear. I'm making sure. Hey, John, how you doing? I just need the Raider hat. Yeah, I got one downstairs. You can hear me. Awesome. So, oh, thank you. You can hear me. Fantastic. Great. Outstanding. Let me get to any comments. You guys were talking. Unknown Raider guy said, just drove by the Raiders Stadium on my way home. Progress still looking good. Hey, but did you see the wetness in the snow? And also, I want to say something about progress here. There is a problem. And again, the problem, first of all, this is not a rumor, all right? And I want to say one thing. I'm going to start with what happened last Thursday and work my way up. First, I'll make a comment about that real quick. But I'll preface what I'm about to say about that with this, current. This is not, what I'm about to present, not a rumor or anything like that. This is fact. And I want, and Unknown Raider guy, if you're in Las Vegas, just go and check it out for yourself. Because I've said this before, and I'll say it again. All one has to do is go to the stadium and go to the Polaris side of the street where the, I'm trying to find a view here now that's just slightly, that's on the Raider website, but slightly in the past, okay? So that you can see what I'm talking about. They have all these previous images. Ah, here we go, all right? This is, yeah, this is as of February 18th at 5:20 p.m. is what the date here is, okay? So, and that happens to be, today's, you know, February 18th was Monday, right? Take a look at this, all right? This is what I'm talking about. This is not a rumor I'm advancing. All I'm saying is you have steel here that's completed, or not completed, being installed, right? But look over here, from here, this is the Polaris side. From here, all right? This is not built in. That area, that 1/4 is not built in. Now, if you take a look at the stadium video that I presented and you run it, it's filled in here, okay? So my only point is that leaves a question, all right? Why isn't that filled in? No one asked the question. And the reason why I keep asking these questions is very simple, because the rest of the media is afraid to. And it's completely different from the Atlanta experience, where the Atlanta Journal-Constitution basically led all media organizations in asking questions, and the Atlanta Falcons were only happy to not only answer their questions, but to hold a press conference, all right? And then come over and say, hey, look, here is where we're at right now. In other words, the Atlanta Falcons were transparent in the way that the Oakland Raiders are not. And there's no reason for it. The Raiders are using public money. You would think the public has some interest in Nevada, how that $650 million bond issue is being spent. Where are they? To have a situation where you have so much money going out and yet a bill, the Southern Nevada Tourism and Infrastructure Act, SNTIA, in place that basically allows the organizations involved to not explain their own financial situation. It does say that in there. To have a situation that does not, where the law does not have a clear and active and adhered to sunshine clause, all right, it is awful. And everyone should be concerned about that. No one should be afraid to ask questions, because if a person is completely confident in what they're doing in any walk of life, all right, they should be able to explain what they're doing to anyone, or if there's a problem, say, hey, look, I've got a problem. Here's the problem, and here's how we're going to fix it, okay? Fine. So my point is that that's straight out the way it is. If you can't handle the truth, go and watch A Few Good Men. Okay? Like maybe 5 times, over and over and over again. Like I said, if you can't handle the truth, go and watch A Few Good Men. Great movie with Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise and Demi Moore. I'm just saying, you have to be able to handle the truth with this, okay? Because I've got news for you. It's not the first time that a project of this size has had cost overruns or delays. The cost overruns are minimal. The delays are, well, they're there, okay? So, and let's see, what do we have here? Where are we in terms of comments, okay? Unknown Radio Guy has a bad cold. Sorry to hear that. Anyone have any questions? And it was snowing, yeah. Which gets to my other article. Hey, ML, how you doing? Which gets to my other point here. We have had a number of very significant delays of different types. The first major delay that went, for the exception of this space, unreported, was the delay in getting the documents done. Hey, Jeffrey, how you doing? Was a delay in getting the documents done for the Las Vegas Stadium project. When Stephen Hill, who's now the CEO, or the great Stephen Hill, I should say, and I don't say that kiddingly, I mean it. When the great Stephen Hill was over at and presiding, well, still was chairman of the Las Vegas Stadium Authority, he said, starting out, that there wasn't much time. He said this back, I believe, April 2018, okay? Hey, Eric Young, how you doing? He said 2017, excuse me. He said there wasn't much time. They had to get all of the documents. Originally, only thought it was 14 documents. Remember that? 14 documents done by October. It turned out that they had almost double the number of documents to do, specifically 32, depending on how you count them. And instead of it being a situation where they actually did finish the documents in October with the groundbreaking in November, what happened was they did the groundbreaking anyway, all right? And the document completion process dragged on for another 7 months. 7 months. It took us all the way into April of the following year. The bond issue was originally supposed to be, the bond was supposed to be originally floated in January of last year. It was pushed back 4 months, okay? 4 months, all right? So there's a problem in that, because the public doesn't report this to you other than me, and a lot of you don't pay attention to this, and you say Raider Nation for life and all that. Yeah, look, you can be a Raider fan and not be an idiot, all right? Learn this thing. In fact, be a nerd about it and understand exactly what's going on with this project. There's no excuse not to. I don't care if what side you're on. Know this thing. So, Eric, I'm just getting warm. Eric says, what have I missed? You haven't missed anything. I'm just getting warm. So know this stuff. Anyway, my point is that where we are with that is, at this point, we've had the 7 months of delays in completing the documents, right? And no, the Raiders are moving, okay? They're already moving in the process of moving. I have no thought that anything's going to slow this down. I'm simply saying, hey, look, don't pick this either or. It's not either going to happen or not. Exercise your mind to understand this stuff, because a lot of people don't. Okay? It's not complicated if you apply your brain, if you care. Okay? I wonder about that. And the reason why I stress that is for another issue I'll get to in a second. But my point is this. You've got not just a 7-month delay in construction, I mean, not just a 7-month delay in document preparation and finishing, right? but you also have the delay in the bond issue. That was 4 months right there. All right. And excuse me, you got the delays in the supposed not enough workforce, and that's which I kind of discounted. That was iffy. The consultant said one thing, everybody else said something else. There wasn't anything definitive about that, so I tended to discount that information. I wasn't going to like jump on it because it was negative. I didn't write about it. Alan Snell did. I didn't. I left it. I mentioned it for the most part once in a live stream, but I didn't commit that to its own blog post or any other research, because it was just too iffy. Workforce size can change like that for a number of reasons. So I thought, well, let's just hope that they get that cleared and move along. But Alan Snell did report on it, and then as quickly as he reported on it, almost weirdly, he just backed off on it. And he reported on it once, and then he left it alone. Okay. Which I thought was very odd. I mean, I don't know if somebody got to him or got after him or what, but my point is, if you're going to put something out there, at least give us a follow-up as to what you found and talk about it. I felt he did the public a disservice by not following up on something he put out there. Just saying, all right? Now, what I'm looking for, and the Arcade, I did see the whole Raider PSL matter, and I mean, what's your feeling about that? I want to find out. But my feeling is that I'm not surprised. I'm actually looking for something as I typed. I'm not surprised at all that they had to move back with that. And the reason I'm not surprised they had to move back is simply because the market cannot sustain the original pricing that they set up, okay? And yeah, the prices at the lower top of the bowl went down, and hey, that's to be expected. My issue is in this whole business about opening 2020 if there's not going to be a full NFL season. If the Raiders don't know exactly how much of the season will be left by the time the stadium is actually ready to be used, then you know what? They should not be broadcasting as if they're going to play the entire 2020 season, because if I'm a season ticket holder potentially and I'm hearing that, I'm thinking, okay, I've got the preseason, then I've got NFL opening day and everything else. All right, that's not a good thing to do. So I saw that, Arcade, and then Unknown Raider Guy says, yeah, he heard prices went down a little. Cowboy Wrestler says, Unknown Raider Guy, I have a cold also. Everybody's got colds. What's going on? He says, and no cool for me this live stream. After this live stream. Oh, NyQuil. I get it. Okay. NyQuil's very effective. ML Scott says, what was the average price? The average price of the PSLs according to Mark Bourdain was $4,000. Now, that's a little higher than it should be. That's what he said, okay? Then he said, Eric Young says, so the Raiders indeed moving. When can we win the lawsuit? How will that affect said move negatively, I hope? Eric Young, I think that's going to drag on for a while. Will it negatively affect the lawsuit? Excuse me. Will the lawsuit negatively affect the move? My answer is no. Okay? My answer is no. It depends on how it comes out. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to venture a hypothesis, an educated guess based on study that this thing gets settled. And for a lot of the same reasons that the Colin Kaepernick issue was settled regarding what comes out of a deposition and what the National Football League doesn't want the public to know. Now, how that settlement will look is an entirely other story. And whether or not the city of Oakland will take the settlement is something else, let alone the Rams or anybody else. But they handled this the wrong way. So I think Unknown Raider Guy has a good handle on things. And he says cases don't happen overnight. It takes about 2 years. Thank you. But I would not place my hopes on a reversal of that kind. And I've said it before. And I know a lot of you have, you know, these different types of weird names to cover up who you really are. But, you know, maybe in the hopes that I'll say something different, but I will say something that to you that I've been very consistent about. I am not in favor of a reversal of a deal, like thinking, the Raiders are going to come back, just because, okay? I don't like economic competitions, but my really, really, really hard feeling about what has happened is part of this is Oakland's to blame. But having said that, Oakland is not to blame for being bamboozled. Mark Davis was not truthful. At the same time, the city of Oakland was not proactive. Okay? Hey, how you doing, Sean? All right, so you have, all right, if Davis were truthful way back in 2014, and if you were truthful in the city of Oakland where Larry Reed wouldn't come to me and say, hey, look, they lied to us, and he said that to me in 2016, Oakland District 7 council member, if that situation were not in existence, all right, then, you know, Mark would be home free. But he's not. He's not. And that's what makes the Raiders situation less than ideal, okay? Less than ideal. He didn't set it up to where Oakland really had a chance. And not only that, he had a hand in not producing a fair playing field by the National Football League itself. All right? So, so that's it. So, you know, I think I'm not, someone said I should let Dr. Death know that. I'm not going to comment on what anybody else says, okay? I'm not here to sell you false hope. And I'm not going to comment on somebody else, what they say. I don't care who they are. I like Ray. Nothing against Ray at all. I'm simply explaining to you that it's false hope to expect that kind of outcome because, for one, among other things, the lawsuit itself, the way it's written, doesn't even allow or advance that kind of roadmap legally. You know, okay? It just doesn't. Look, having said that, I'll say this. Anything is possible, but I'm not banking on it. No pun intended. I happen to be a fan of the idea of the NFL in Las Vegas. I don't like the way it's gone down. But look, this is the only thing that can happen that will blow this entire thing out of the water is one big, large thing that I don't think anybody has anticipated. But I'm presenting it out as thinking. This is the phase of this show is titled "Thinking the Unthinkable." Okay. In fact, maybe I should just write something down that says "Thinking the Unthinkable." This is thinking the unthinkable. All right. In fact, I'm going to write this down in big letters. All right, in big letters, and then I'll get to your comments. Thinking. This is thunking. Thinking the unthinkable. All right. This is called Thinking the Unthinkable, all right? And Thinking the Unthinkable is based on something that was told to me by someone Saturday night. I cannot say this person's name. But Thinking the Unthinkable is this. Mark Davis decides he doesn't want to be in Las Vegas and looks for a way out, okay? And given how things change and how sometimes he can make a rash decision based on something that he didn't anticipate, like this lawsuit, right? I could see a scenario where Mark Davis says, you know what, this is a bad idea, I want out. Now, how he gets out is an entirely other story. All right? Now, am I emotionally committed to that idea? No. Absolutely 1,000,000% not. Mark Davis is building a 14-room house. He's got the same people that designed the stadium, reportedly, according to Vital Vegas, building or designing his home for him. That's going to look cool, isn't it? But why not a scenario where he says, hey, you know what? I've got enough money here. I've got my home in Vegas. But why don't I leave my team in Oakland because I don't like the way this is going and I want to regain some power for myself. And you would say, what do I mean by that? Someone said to me this. They said, because I asked this person, I said, hey, so how is Las Vegas changing? And this person said to me, and I quote this, there are a lot of hands where they shouldn't be. Okay? And I said, where? And all I got was a repeated voice. There are a lot of hands where they shouldn't be. And I repeat, there are a lot of hands where they shouldn't be. Now what that means, I don't know, because I don't have my hands where they shouldn't be. Okay? Now, you can interpret that a lot of ways. Does that mean that there are people who are controlling Mark Davis in a way that he doesn't want to be controlled? Does that mean he sees himself being pushed to give up his beloved Raiders in a way that he doesn't want to? What does it mean, you know? Because remember, he said he was going to get out of the football business, and he had John Gruden and Reggie McKenzie, and they were going to run it. And then all of a sudden, he fired Reggie McKenzie. He said that. So whatever happened between Reggie and Mark Davis, it had to, getting to know Mark as I think that I know him now, I believe that Reggie may very well have said something inappropriate about Mark that Mark didn't know Reggie felt that way, and it completely changed Mark's idea about Reggie and McKenzie, and he felt that Reggie McKenzie wasn't a Patron anymore, and he says, okay, fine, you know, you're gone, all right? I mean, it sounds very much like a kind of a Greg Papa thing, you know? I'm just saying, all right? Cisco says Mark Davis sounds like Donald Trump. Joseph Maramandura says, it's been proposed Las Vegas should be just a permanent host for the Super Bowl. A lot of people have said that. That could happen. I think it's a great idea. Unknown Raider guy says, Richard Hikes, the case will have to settle and will take Mark to settle, but Mark doesn't seem like he wants to settle, so the court case and more likely can go up to 2 years. By that time, be 2021. Yeah, I don't think this is the kind of thing that's going to, you're going to see any kind of movement or action for another 2 or 3 years. I agree with that. Sean Watson says, isn't it true to get Mr. Davis to bring the Raiders back from L.A.? Didn't the city of Oakland offer to build him a new stadium? Well, not a new stadium. What happened was, originally, the original stadium, as it was advanced in 1993, would have cost the city of Oakland, the total project cost was $893 million, okay? That wasn't a subsidy, that was just the total project cost. But the city council took one look at that and said, no, we're not gonna do that. Said, no way, Jose. So Oakland assistant city manager Ezra Rapport and his staff went back to work, this is before I got involved, went back to work on a scaled down proposal which cost $220 million. And it only dealt with building a new east side, which is the primary place where the cost is, and in total. And then, of course, the new luxury boxes, which include the west side. And at $10 million addition, I've talked before, suggested by Block Consulting, of a $10 million, and repeating the number, but $10 million kitchen that's between the arena here and the stadium right there. Used to be this large exhibit hall. They took part of it to build this kitchen. And of course, so when all this was done, all right, it just so happened to come at a time when satellite kitchens, just a few years later, became in vogue. In other words, whether having one big kitchen, you had satellite kitchens spread out in different parts of the stadium to better serve you, the luxury box holder or season ticket holder, wherever you sat, okay? So we got screwed up by bad timing as both the city and the Raiders. And the Raiders, even they were playing games with us because on the day that the Raiders were supposed to fly up and sign the deal, they had the LA County Coliseum Commission had a press conference stage already set up and a space for Al Davis to come in and announce he was staying in Los Angeles. But he didn't do that, never showed up, turned tail and went to Oakland. So the Raider way is always to have, you know, two camps. I got a foot over here, and I got a foot over here. Never quite, you know, firmly committed to anything. Leaving themselves always with an out. I call it an escape hatch. Now, you can take that two ways. You can either say that's really sneaky or that's really smart. In either case, you'd be absolutely correct. Sometimes you could say it's sneakily smart. So I'm now reading your comments. I'm going backward. Unknown Raider guy says, this lawsuit would have been more dangerous to Raiders if the JPA would have filed suit back in 2017 because the court cases could have went to at least 2020. That's a great point, Unknown Raider guy. Cowboy Rest says, Mount Davis fiasco. Unknown Raider guy says, my opinion, if Mark sells team, he's going to sell it to another person in Las Vegas. Name and colors in Oakland. That means the NFL will have to create another brand new team, and NFL doesn't want to expand right now. I'm going to venture a guess that that other person would be Sheldon Adelson. And I'm still going back to something that the good Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, said to me October of 2016 when he personally vouched for Sheldon Adelson as an owner, okay? And if you are watching this, you pay close attention to the fun stuff that's been going on, which I think would make a fantastic book in terms of how this whole matter of a stadium in Las Vegas was developed. You'll remember that there were rumors that Adelson's kids were going to own the Raiders and that Mark Davis had basically put, this is a big rumor, okay? And this is the only kind of rumor I'll put out there because it's kind of like, I mean, it's easily refutable, but it doesn't have to do with construction or anything like that. And I don't, deal with that. But this personal rumor, which I think is a cool one, is, hey, you know what? Mark Davis loved Adelson's kids and was going to basically, write them in so he got, that they got the Raiders, right? That's the rumor. Now, I haven't been able to confirm that, and I know Mark would not tell me that, okay? That would be, not happening, I don't think. But my point is, there is that situation. Now, again, I don't know. My impression is that, Mark is not a person who likes to be upstaged or controlled. And he particularly doesn't like it if he's dealing with a person he thinks is a friend or a patron and they turn on him or they say one thing to him, but behind his back they're saying something else. If that gets back to him, psh, okay? So there's a lot of that possibility here in this entire deal. Now, the only thing that would scuttle such a development is if Davis practiced the art of developing a cooler head rather than reacting, right, and said, okay, I'll talk with him, but I'm not going to make any changes. That would be a major change in the project. It would mean the Raiders stay, no controversy, no attempt to get out of the lease, and they already have one big escape hatch. I'll get to that in a second. Nothing like that, okay? So, let me see. I'm getting to the rest of your questions here. Keep firing questions, by the way, if you have them. Or statements. And Memo Scott says, I say expansion team in Vegas. I say expansion team in Oakland. Eric Young says, another can of worms, right? And I say, this whole thing is a can of worms. Hey, Hennessy, how you doing? This whole thing. Oh, Richard Hike says, what do you think of the idea of keeping the name? Is that more about making the cost so high they can exchange in lieu of cash? I'm not sure I understand your question, Richard. Let me take a shot at it. No pun intended. I think, first of all, the idea of keeping the name is not in the lawsuit, all right? There's no reason at all to assume that that's going to happen. And I'm sorry for those people who believe otherwise, but you know what? My suggestion is that you spend more time believing in Jesus Christ. Seriously. And the God Almighty. I'm very serious about that. Because to assume that that's going to happen automatically, all right, is foolish. It's not written in the lawsuit. To assume that a settlement will automatically lead to that is equally foolish. There are a number of ways to to carve up the settlement pie rather than that. Not only that, here's this. If you're Caesars Entertainment and you've already signed a contract to partner with the Las Vegas Raiders, your assumption, if you take a look at all, let me explain to you one big problem. I mean, one huge problem with that idea, okay? Let me explain to you one huge problem with that idea, okay? And it's this, all right? And you'll see what I'm saying. And when you see what I'm talking about, I think it's going to make some sense when you take a look at what I'm about to present to you, and then your reaction will be, oh yeah, all right. And this is exactly what I'm pointing to here, right here, all right? Hold on a second. It's this. Take a look at this, all right? The name and colors. See that? The name and colors. Caesars, Raiders, basically silver and black. All right, those are the name and colors right there. And so that sponsorship says, hey, you know, I have the right to use that. Okay? So I don't, in a settlement, I don't see anyone just giving that up, violating all of these contractual covenants that are out there. Under what legal precedent is that possible? And I'm not saying I know. I'm asking a question. I'm asking a question. I'm happy to be wrong if somebody can show me how that works in a settlement fashion. Now, if you mention Cleveland, my reaction is, all right, they never went to court. That just sort of came up because Modell wanted to start all over. The Raiders situation is not this. It's not that, all right? It's entirely different. It's entirely different. And not only that, Art Modell didn't have all of these different deals set up with companies to use the name and likeness of a team in, you know, Baltimore, okay, while he was in Cleveland. So this is a different situation. I understand there are people who want that to happen. But again, wanting it to happen and having that to happen are just two hugely different things, all right? And on the radio guy says, Cleveland, that's right, Cleveland immediately filed a lawsuit. Immediately, bam. We wasted time. That suit should have been out the door the very day the NFL took its action. Oakland should have had the lawsuit gone. It should have went bing, right upside the NFL's collective head, just like that. You know, no wasting time. Bing, that's it, okay? So John Cost says, what's your take on the JPA meeting Friday regarding the Raiders' lease extension in Oakland? I am waiting with bated breath on the word for a special meeting to announce the deal is done. I expect the deal to be done. I know they're still working out paperwork details. And also, as I mentioned, the parking issue has been settled for about $750,000, which I think is a great thing, all right? So there's a lot to work out. They're going to get there. And I'm just waiting for them when they say the meeting is going to be on X day. So let's see here. Oakland Raiders News says one day should be banking. Okay, okay. Now I'll get to the comments that you made that I may have missed. And let's see here. I think I got that one. Oh, Cowboy Wrestler says Z incompetence at its best in Oakland City Hall. Sean Watson says, do you think Al would have made the same move moving to Las Vegas? No. And Antonio says, can you please update me on the 80 Stadium? I'll get to that in a second. Oakland Raiders News says, will there be tailgating at the Las Vegas Stadium? If you're a millionaire, sure. Gorilla says, Oakland will pay millions to Raiders. I don't see under what situation that comes about because, for one thing, there's nothing, what? You know, that's, you know, okay. I mean, I'd love to see the scenario where that happens. Knowing what I know about all the crap that's went down, I'm talking about deep personal crap. Knowing what I know, that I to tell you that ain't happening. It just is not happening. Oh my goodness. Boy, oh boy. I mean, you know, look, I'm not saying, you know, nothing's impossible, okay? But, right. No, no way. Man, oh man, let's see here. Oh, the naming rights. Okay, the naming rights are almost done. I don't think there's going to be a snag there. I wrote a piece about how Ring Nation, you know, Ring Nation, did I just say Ring Nation? I've never thought about it. But anyway, hey, you know what? You know what? Ring Central is a Bay Area born tech company. Started in Belmont, went through the mill of meeting VCs, got a hold of Vinod Kostra, who's the celebrated venture capitalist, who's a little irascible at times. I try to ask him a question. I don't want to be bothered right now. Okay, dude. At any rate, has had his money in a number of tech pots around the Bay Area, you know? If you can get in the Bay Area tech community, I'm telling you, get to know a lot of people, you're doing the right thing. Hennessy says, you never know, things can happen. Just a few years ago, nobody thought the Raiders were going to be approved for Las Vegas. True. Sean Watson asks, am I on Facebook? Zinny62 is my Facebook page. Oakland Raiders News says Vegas. So let's see here where we are. All right. Now, the A's Stadium. Let me see. I'm going to see if somebody wrote an update because I know, you know, I'm going to say I need to really focus on, you know what, in fairness, I'm not going to make too many comments about that because I don't know exactly where it is. And what I mean by that is I don't know where they are in terms of completing all the drawings necessary to build the project, all the approvals. I need to get that nailed down. And so I apologize. I didn't intend to talk about that for this show, so I am not prepped. So I'm not going to say things that are wrong about it. I know there's some controversy regarding the gondolas. I think it's a lousy idea because it's asking people to fly over all these different restaurants and shops rather than walk through and spend their money on the way to the stadium. I think it's a bad idea. But that's one part of a big whole. It's this part you're concerned about, where they're at. And I need to answer that. I need to have an answer for you, and I'll work on that. Oh, by the way, speaking of which, speaking of projects, a momentary aside to invite you, for free, to tune in 12 noon this Thursday. 12 noon this Thursday, Pacific, 3 o'clock on the East. I talk with a man by the name of Alex Epstein, who's written a book called The Moral Case for Fossil Fuels. Yes, I did hear that. Someone is actually defending fossil fuels. And no, I'm not debating him either. But I want to talk with him, and I want to talk with him about the Oakland bulk and oversized terminal project that has gotten mired in political controversy, but is something that came out of, in part, for the most part, a 1993 Oakland Alameda County Base Reuse Committee that I sat on because I was put there by Keith Carson, the Alameda County Supervisor. And we were supposed to replace those West Oakland jobs by now. We haven't. This thing's become completely terribly politicized. So I'm trying to help, well, I am helping actually change that conversation by having a reasoned discussion on how we can have a truly excellent terminal, multi-commodity terminal that uses the best technology to transfer commodities from rail to ship cheaply, safely, and cleanly. And we can do it, folks. But this guy has written a book called The Moral Case for Fossil Fuels that's really quite interesting. So I can't wait to have him on. I can't wait to have that reasoned conversation rather than it's the left or it's the right. It's the left or it's the right. I'm sick of this left-right stuff. Or if you like, it's the right, the left. It's, you know, just figure out the things. Solve these problems because, you know, we're having these arguments and people are losing their homes and you have all these people making goo-gobs of money and you've got this New York situation where Jeff Bezos is worth $100 billion but doesn't want to spend any of his money to build the thing. And then people are saying, oh, you know, they're all pissed off at Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, because she's, you know, confident and pretty and all that stuff, right? And so, you know, it's wild to watch them go off on and just get upset with her. Believe me, I'm gonna come back to the Rays. I just had to get this off my chest. But they blame the whole Amazon New York thing on her. But look it, folks. Stan Kroenke was building the Rams Stadium for $5 billion. Private money. He has no dime of public money. Stan is worth $8.8 billion. Jeff Bezos is worth 10 times more. You mean he tell me he can't take $5 billion of his own $100 billion, spend it on Amazon, H2Q, NYC, and keep on stepping? Of course he can. All right? This is complete nonsense. So anyway, I want to have a great, you know, sensible conversation. I'm looking forward to having Alex Epstein, 3 o'clock Thursday, this Thursday, Eastern, right here at Zenny 62. All right, now, Oakland Raiders News says, here there'll be a tram taking you to the stadium. Yes, that's the plan. Arcade says, has there been reached in opposition to the A Stadium Merchant? There has been reached in opposition. I'm glad you brought that up. Hold that thought, okay? If I don't come back to that, give me a reminder, okay? 909 PRG says, yeah, stadium is on schedule. Someone says different. Ask them to name a source. Which stadium are we talking about? Talking about the A's stadium? Okay, fine. Gorilla Manila says, me too. One Raider Nation. All right, now 909. You're talking about the A's stadium, okay? I've never said it was off schedule. I'm glad to hear it's on schedule. Now, Gorilla Manila says, agreed. Oakland City Council destroyed their chances with any professional team after the lawsuit. Cesar says, Raiders will be back in Oakland in 10 to 20 years, 30 years guaranteed. Las Vegas won't last long. 30 years is a long time. So 909 says, Oakland will never get another NFL team after the lawsuit. Beth Pope with XFL, blah, 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 blah. XFL passed. 909, I would never make that kind of statement. That's completely lunacy. And, you know, I don't know who you actually are, but my point is, if you are working on this project, I really believe that you need to understand what you're talking about in terms of the Oakland economy and where it sits. Do you realize the Bay Area economy has basically driven the California economy for the past 6 to 10 years? You might want to rethink that idea. That's a lot of money to think you're going to pass up if you're the National Football League. The National Football League has no intention of passing that up, especially since, you know, it's now legal to establish a type of gambling, sports gambling sponsorship system in California, which is rich with sports teams and organizations, okay? So you need to rethink that. Never say never in that context. If you do, you're going to wind up crying in your beer if it's that important to you. I certainly hope your life is more balanced than that. Okay, moving along. Noel Jenkins says, any news on Marshawn Lynch purchasing homes in Oakland? Is there progress being made on that level? I have heard that he is purchasing. As to where he is in doing that, I do not know. That's something else I'll check off and find out. If anybody has an idea, please send me an email here. Zenny at Zenny62.com for, you know, questions that you want to be the focus of a show, okay? That'd be fantastic, all right? And then I can actually, you know, plan out that way. So, Cowboy Rush says, my God, I'm fearing the Oakland is going to F up and lose the A's. I'm not, and I'm glad that comes back to the point that I want to make. This is where Libby can turn this whole thing around, or save Oakland sports, or stay in Oakland, or anybody, including myself, but, you know, I'm here, is to form a task force around the A's stadium of business leaders to produce that kind of political force that you need to advance this forward. What's going on is you have people in the Jack London area, like the Vivian Kahn types, who are opposed to having a stadium in Jack London for reasons that I think are collectively nonsensical, but that's me. But they will do one thing they're very good at, which is organizing, all right? The city has not organized, and that's the fault of the mayor. The mayor has to organize. And I say the fault of the mayor because someone will say, why don't you do it? And yeah, yes, absolutely. But then the mayor's got to sign on to it. So if you do it, and I've been through this before, because Jerry didn't sign on when I was working on the Super Bowl until at the last minute. So I had to walk around the entire Bay Area, meeting with this hotel manager or this person, getting backers for our Oakland Super Bowl bid. And the question that was always asked of me, because, you know, the boneheaded Chronicle was being against me at the time, yeah, I said it just like that, was saying, hey, you know what? Where's the mayor? All right? So that hurts. If you are trying to advance something in Oakland and the mayor is not with you, it hurts what you're doing. Now, there are a lot of ways to get around that, but, you know, at the end of the day, you're upset with the mayor, mayor's upset with you, nothing good, you know, comes out of that for the most part. Why have that? That's why it's important for the mayor to get involved. Now, there's another way to handle that. But, okay. So, John Acosta says, do you think Kaepernick will ever play in the NFL again? I do, actually. But the part of that's a hope. You know, part of that is a hope. The real question is, well, look, here's the real fact. Colin Kaepernick is a cash machine. Any team that makes a deal to bring him on as like even a backup immediately wins the merchandise sales sweepstakes for the year. I mean, their statistics will go up like a pogo stick or something else. And my point is, if you are halfway intelligent in running a sports organization, a football team, you want to sign him up right now. There ought to be a line of NFL teams out the door saying, you know what, let's get him. Let's sign him up. Someone ought to be holding a press conference for this guy. The simple fact that that's not happening only shows that there are more people in the NFL that have less business savvy than I thought. Okay? Because he is worth billions to any organization. I mean, billions. Maybe there's some of you who don't like what he did, but those of you who are vocal about it are far, far, far outnumbered by those people who think, who believe that he is the best person to have on their team. So, you know, I would be very surprised if he wasn't back in the NFL sooner rather than later. Buck says, love Colin. Cover says, oh no, Raider guy Warriors are moving to arena in San Francisco. Gorilla says, I heard the Redskins want Colin as QB. And Gorilla says Colin will get signed. I agree. Cesar says, I predict that Marshawn Lynch and another individual will buy the Raiders from Mark Davis and move them back to Oakland in the distant future. Marshawn would be a very rich man if that happened. Do I think, Oakland Raider News asks, do I think the Chargers will be back in San Diego? Can the NFL force the Chargers back to San Diego? And could Mark Davis sue the National Football League for letting the Chargers go back to San Diego since NFL denied the Raiders? The answer to that last question is, yeah, he could. Look, anybody can sue anybody for anything, right? It doesn't mean the lawsuit is just. It doesn't even mean it's going to hold up in court under the pressure of a motion for summary judgment, okay? But yeah, but there's that, and then there's something that's actually worth doing. Mark, let's think this through. The question is, under what circumstances would the NFL want the Chargers back in San Diego? And the answer is simple. If the cost to host the Chargers outweighed, all right, the cost outweighed the revenue the Chargers were bringing in. And right now I don't see that that's happening. Okay? That's the only scenario. The Chargers would have to be really doing very, very poor for that occurrence to be the case. I don't see that that's going to happen. If the Chargers continue their excellent level of play through the next seasons, let's say that the Chargers add up to, they average 10, 11 game seasons, all right? Then they become, they become a valuable asset to Stan Kroenke in that stadium, and I can't see, I can't see them even wanting to give them up, you know? So, I mean, that's a possibility, but I don't think it is, I think it's a remote one in terms of Mark suing. Because under your scenario, the Chargers would have had to have left, okay? And I don't see that happening. At one point I did, you know, but after reading what other people have said, looking at the number statements, looking at the future, No, I don't see that. The NFL has really wanted 2 teams in there, in that stadium. And all this started because, hey, Steve Ballmer bought the Clippers down there for 2.2 billion, well, 2 billion, period, okay? And everyone was like, ah! And the NFL was like, hey, we don't have a team down there. Now they've got 2. All right? Now, what the NFL should worry about are the reports that at some point in the future, I thought it was going to be this week, but at some point in the future, there's an expectation of a rainfall that would be more devastating than the largest earthquake that could happen down there in Southern California, where 1.5 million people would be displaced. Do you hear me? 1.5 million people down in the LA basin. 1 out of every 30 would be displaced. So the question you should be asking, if you're the league, is, hey, wait a minute. Do we have a plan to deal with this? Did we make the right move at the right time if that's really going to happen? Because you've got 2 issues you have to worry about. And if I'm the NFL, I'm shaking in my boots over this. And I do mean pun intended in this case, because I've got an earthquake possibility while not just any stadium, but the most expensive stadium in NFL history is under construction. And then I've got the threat of more rain coming down than ever before because of the way the climate is changing. Right? You know, you're right? Okay. Kelox is like laughing, right? All right? I'm saying, all right? As he says, if there's a delay in Inglewood construction, it'll be devastating. They've already had 1. And they blamed it on the rain, but then there were other people saying, oh, it really wasn't the rain. Because they had other delays during rainstorms. Excuse me, they had other hard rainstorms and no delay. So if for whatever reason the delay really occurred that we don't know, there are people out there who say it had nothing to do with the rain. But then what if you get the situation where you really get this huge rain and then there's a problem? And that's why I point to Las Vegas Stadium. At 5 consecutive days of wet weather, starting last week, actually 6, starting last week, going into the snow, all right? And all of a sudden, someone said I walked by, I think, the Raider guy said, yeah, I drove by the stadium, it looked great. Yeah, but I looked at the thing on Livestream. I didn't see a lot of people working. I know it's President's Day. So you got President's Day, wet weather, snow. You've got more rain coming this week, according to the forecast this Thursday. All right. We've already had more wet weather days this year than we commonly have in Las Vegas. Okay. I mean, this project seems to have all these little gremlins around it. You know what I mean? And it's funny to watch, and it is funny to watch the organization just sort of like try to like pretend the gremlins don't exist. You know what? Deal with the gremlins, acknowledge that they're there, because the gremlins are going to come out and bite you on the you know what. Again and again and again. It's just the way it goes with these projects. You have the whole point of successfully planning and completing large-scale stadium projects or large-scale projects is to have contingency plans ready to go. It's how you solve the problems. It's not covering them up. They're going to be there. It's how you solve the problems that separates the great builders from the not-so-great ones. Hey, John Marks, how you doing? Gorilla says, A Stadium is trash. I completely disagree. Buck wants to know, how do you think Raiders new GM Mike Mayock will do? You know, I think Mike will do well. I'm praying for him because I think he's the first draft Nick that I've seen. Actually, there's one other guy. Is John is another guy in Canada that was originally sort of a draft prognosticator guy who went on to become a GM. Okay, and I like that. I want to see how well he does. I'm rooting for. I'm saying this. I'm rooting for, as much as I've criticized him, I'm rooting for Mike Mayock to succeed. There you go. All right. So, having said that's based on my emotions, there you are. I hope he does well. I really do. Oakland Raiders News says, do you think Charge will be back in San Diego? I got to that one. Cesar says, I predict. I got that one. Got that one. Okay, so I've got those comments out of the way. I got that one out of the way. Hey, John Marks, how you doing? And Cowboy Wrestler says, I personally think Oakland will get their act together, fingers crossed, and get the deal done. But God forbid if it doesn't. I see no professional sports team Oakland calling Oakland home. You know, I do, but it would be under. I can almost see somebody else saying this, like a certain friend of mine who runs the Coliseum. I hope that's not you. But who's my favorite superhero? Oh, easy, Iron Man. Who's not really a superhero, he's a super tech guy. If you think about it. Suit up, right? So, Ryan says, I don't see owner hiring him after he sued them since owners are the NFL. I can't imagine the owner that being that stupid, Ryan. Okay, I really don't. If anybody is that stupid, I'm serious. You got a guy out there that can make billions for you. I'm not talking about millions. I mean billions with a B, all right? He's a player, okay? And you can't sign him because your poor little ego is hurt? You have no business claiming you're an entrepreneur. You want to be out of the business. I mean, serious, okay? That's ridiculous. Any owner who thinks that, no. You're leaving money on the table with that guy, okay? California Attorney General Xavier Becerra announces that he's suing Donald Trump. I think that's lawsuit number 16. And anyway, I mean, around this whole emergency deal. All right, we've got all those comments. And hey, everybody, welcome to Zuni62. Thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. All right? Please, baby. Please, please, please. Now, Gorilla says, yes, Collins sued the owners, but money is money. Yeah, money. Thank you, Gorilla. Money is money. And I mean gorilla-sized money, right? Cowboy Rest says, unknown Raider guy, yes, but there's so much red tape right now with the A's trying to get a new stadium in Oakland. Unknown Raider guy shoots back. A lawsuit can happen. Someone can sue you saying, I'm going to sue you because I didn't like the way you looked at me. He's right. I mean, of course, that's the kind of lawsuit that gets thrown out of court like that, you know? Cowboy Rest says, unknown Raider guy, A's ownership might start to lose patience and begin to look for new cities to house the team. No, that's not going to happen. The A's have made too many advances. They've spent too much money. And they're far too patient to do this. The way the mayor can help the A's is to establish her own political task force. Okay? And I hope to God Libby is not inserting herself and making comments and giving the A's a bellyache at the wrong time for some political reason. That would spell disaster, okay? And I mean, it would massively spell disaster. So let's see here. And I'm not saying that this is happening. Bucks is saying, should the Raiders sign Deshaun Jackson when the Bucks cut him? Should the Raiders sign D-Jack? You're asking me why I stop and think about this, and the reason why I stop and think about it is because Antonio Bryant is available, I believe, okay? So, I mean, who do you want? You want a D-Jack or Antonio or both, all right? And if you want both, the question is, are the Raiders willing, not able, are they willing to do what it takes from a business perspective to get both? Special sponsorships, be entrepreneurial, get extra money in, that sort of thing. That's my question, because I'm very concerned that the organization does not have that extra, that kind of Jerry Jones-like, you know, desire, right? That kick in the pants. That's my concern. And I hope I'm wrong. Because if it were Jerry, he'd figure out a way to make that happen. And Mark's got to be that guy. All right? Because Bedane, and look, here's the problem. Mike Mayock is not that guy either. So if you take a look at the whole deal, you take a look at the spectrum of Raider people right now, all right? You don't have a true deal maker. You don't have that person that's out there among the Raider brass that can sit down, do a deal with a business, set up a sponsorship like that, sing song and make it rain, all right? Knows football to the point where they can take that deal and relate it to what's going on in the football organization. Mark Bedane is not that guy. He's the Raider president. He is not that guy. I don't know who on the Raider organization is that guy or gal. All right? Reggie McKenzie has some of what it takes to be that, but he's not really that. The Raiders need another president. The Raiders need a president of football, the Raiders need a president that knows business, all right? And do I think someone mentioned Amy Trask? Yeah, I think Amy, oh, of course, absolutely Amy can do that. 1,000,000%. All right, 1,000,000%. Okay. John Marks is not going to happen. Right now, Amy's on the beach, enjoying herself. Have doubts, check out her Twitter account. Jenkins says, great point, thank you. Gorilla says, Colin went to court against the NFL, but he will get signed. Noel Jenkins says, Raiders are usually tops in sales of jerseys anyway. No, they're not. Glad you mentioned that, okay? The Raiders, because of their one-loss record, have not been the tops in jersey sales. Let me dispel that right now. NFL team merchandise sales, okay? All right? Top 10 team jerseys as of January 24th of 2018. One is the Dallas Cowboys. This is 2 New England Patriots. This is last year. 3 Pittsburgh Steelers. 4 Philadelphia Eagles. The Raiders are number 5. Okay? Number 5. And the Packers are number 6. Seahawks number 7. Vikings are 8. And I'm surprised the Raiders number 5 because I saw rankings where they were lower than that. But that was last year, okay? So you've got, this was January 24th. It hasn't been updated. That's top 10 team jerseys according to the NFL. Let's see if there's been any updates since then. Like for 2019, right? And let's see here, 2019. And you know what? When that happened last year, guess what happened? It's always, sales are always tied to some event. Who did the Raiders hire? John Gruden. So next thing you know, jerseys, right? All right. So, all right, here we go. Now, Tom Brady had the best-selling jersey in the NFL for this season, according to that was as of January 4th of this year, 2019. Folks, it is 143. I'm going to stop at 150, okay? I'm going to stop at 150. I'm going to stop at about 7 minutes. Now, let me read this to you real quick. Then I'll start winding down things. And so according to NFL's official pro shop, top 10 selling jerseys where Tom Brady was number 1. Number 2, guess who? Khalil Mack with the Bears. Ooh, all right. Now think about that. Think about that, all right? Think about that, all right? Number 1, Tom Brady. Let me show you this. Let me show you this. Here it is, okay? Look. Tom Brady's number 1, Khalil Mack number 2, number 3, Patrick Mahomes, number 4, Ezekiel Elliott, number 5, Saquon Barkley, okay? Number 6, Drew Brees, all right? Number 7, Baker Mayfield. Number 8, Carson Wentz. Number 9, Dak Prescott. Number 10, Juju Smith-Schuster, all right? And that was this year. Now, one of those could have been a Raider if the Raider had not traded him. The Raiders had not traded him, Khalil Mack. But look at that. Look at that, okay? That's wild, all right? Those are individual individual sales. Now, this, okay, granted, not team. But the top 50 players in merchandise, top selling jerseys. Yeah, I still haven't gotten the one for wait a minute, top selling jersey 2018 as of January. We already said that one. We already talked about that one. That's Tom Brady. And yeah, I don't have the team jerseys. But the whole point is that how would you if you have individuals, right, that are driving the team, then I think it stands to reason that we probably wouldn't see the Raiders in tops there. The Raiders in 2018 had, well, three things they had then, that two of which they don't have now. They had John Gruden, Khalil Mack, and Amari Cooper. Now they have just John Gruden and a losing record, okay? So when that happens, your sales go, yeah, right? They're low. And that has been the Raiders' situation for some time. Oh, I mean, the 49ers have years where they have beaten, if the Raiders in team sales again and again and again, year after year after year. So don't believe the hype that the Raiders are, oh, you know, they're automatically the best. You know, the Raiders have some work to do. In a lot of cases, the Raiders have some work to do. And the reason why Derek Carr is going to be a Raider for quite some time is because the Raiders know that if they happen to let Carr go, and I don't mean that as a pun, if they happen to let Carr go, that does hamper their merchandise sales, because right now, he is all the Raiders have. They had other than Marshawn Lynch. And Marshawn Lynch is on the bench, okay? So, from a standpoint of identity, the Raiders will be without one if they let Carr go. Now, okay, all right, so let me see here. Joseph, I missed your point, and I got your email. I need a chance to answer that. Banner says, I'm sorry I'm late to the stream, but Raiders are staying in Oakland. Yeah, they're playing in Oakland this year, yeah. Cesar says, do you see the city of Oakland starting their pro sports teams up by replacing their NBA, NFL, and MLB teams with NHL, MLS, and WNBA teams? Cesar, that question implies a level of economic development competence the city of Oakland has currently not demonstrated, being honest with you, okay? So, until the city of Oakland expresses a desire to move in that right direction of thinking, I'm going to say not exactly. It will happen, you know, in fits and starts, different ways, but not as ordered and processed as your question implies. No. The city of Oakland has some work to do in that area. John Marks wants to get Amy Trask on his show. I want her to get on here, too. Keylock says, Jerry Jones can figure out how to make that happen and win nothing, though. Okay. Osmond Dias, how are you? Osmond Dias says, should the Raiders sign Levante Murray back if Beast Mode doesn't come back? If Beast Mode doesn't come back, I think the Raiders need to go and really take a look at the young running backs and really concentrate on essentially rebuilding their running back set. But I think the Raiders need to ask themselves one basic question. What do they want the running backs to do? Do you want a bell cow back that carries the ball 25 to 30 times a game? Or someone that is a pass catcher? I think the Raiders should design their offense around someone, in part, who's a Roger Craig type with the Niners. Someone who is a great slashing runner who could catch passes out of the backfield and pick up great yards after the catch. But someone that you could split out wide and with confidence throw to them as if they were running a fly pattern, or hand them any other type of, you know, pass catching assignment in a passing tree, a common passing tree that, say, a flanker would run, right? So then you could take that same running back, put that person at flanker, and give them flanker assignments, including the jet or fly sweep, right? So that's what I would do. Gruden's got to figure that out before all the other stuff falls into place. Okay? So Joseph says, I know we hired a DB assistant. I wonder if anybody even approached Charles Woodson for the position, or whether he's even considered or would consider it. If they threw the right money at him, I'm sure he would. But I think the fact that he's not there means that, A, they didn't think of bringing him in. And if they did, it wasn't for anywhere near the kind of money he thought he could get, you know, being on be an announcer someplace else, maybe like the NFL Network or whatever it is he decides to do. It's a good question. So it's a very good question. All right, so Oakland Raiders says, yeah, a.k.a. Charlie Garner. Exactly like Charlie Garner. Exactly. I know Raider guy says, Raiders need Tyreek Hill if Lynch leaves. The Raiders could not sign, maybe Tyreek Hill, maybe. Someone like him, sure. But they need a Tyreek Hill type, all right? But my point is that Charlie Garner was, to a degree, the Tyreek Hill of his time. Well, no, that's stretching. You know, it was Charlie Garner was the Roger Craig of the Raiders. Okay, that's sticking it. That's a stretch. I think what's going through my mind is that, in terms of a template, I go back to the whole Roger Craig idea, or you know, like the modern version of Roger Craig is Christian McCaffrey. Okay, someone like a Christian McCaffrey, who I thought for a time the Raiders were going to get. That kind of template, all right? So, so we've got, oh, Oakland Raiders says Tevin Coleman, okay? So, we've got, let's see here. Who do we have here? We've got Joseph Banderas says market talent type. He did everything. Yeah. Or Jordan Yancey says Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell will be a monster pickup. I mean, monster. Thomas Shipley says, does anyone know what Raider Station Oakland A's games will be on? The Oakland A's games. Yeah, the Oakland A's actually did just announce that. Very, very recently. And so the A's radio deal was just announced on the 15th, and according to Athletics Nation, here's how you can stream them in 2019, if you wish to do so. And they will be on, drumroll please, thank you very much, the Oakland A's announced a new radio broadcast agreement with KTRB 860 AM. KTRB 860 AM, and an expanded partnership with KHTK AM 1140 in Sacramento. The dual stations, along with 17 additional radio network affiliates, will provide the largest coverage map ever for A's baseball. And the club announced a partnership with TuneIn, the leading global live audio streaming service. In addition to free live streaming of all A's games in territory, TuneIn will launch a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week A's channel. The A's TuneIn channel will air exclusive team content, including special programming and podcasts. There you go. All right. So there you are. All right, folks. And with that, folks, I am going to wind it down and say good night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Cowboy says Raiders can't afford Bell Brown or OG Bay. They're broke. Maurice Keith says Zen, you and ATO with the MBK event tomorrow. Hey, I'm here for my mom. Mom comes first. Joseph, now if you want, if you're going to the APK, give me a report. Be on the scene, man. Joseph says, I think if the Raiders signed Bell, they'd have to be creative and back love the contracts. They have the money while in Vegas. Yeah. Good night, everybody. Hey, Dixon, how you doing? Hope everybody is well. We'll be back tomorrow. Well, it's really today on the East Coast. All right. Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. And remember, watch horror films. Keep America strong. Oh, and by the way, Zenny62 Media, credentialed for the NFL Combine. All right. Good night, everybody. Oh, and by the way, also Zenny62 Media, credentialed for WonderCon and Comic-Con. Good night, everybody. Good night. See ya.